Hello students, it's Dr. Miller. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and to be very honest, some of the work that I was seeing was not of the quality that I would like to share with others. I hope I address some of this in my comments to you individually, but there just wasn't enough of the good stuff to share. But this is assignment 10 is a different story, because basically those that completed the assignment and turned it in did quite well on it, and there were some really beautiful images. So let's go over that. What we were doing here was two things. One was close-up photography, and some of the readings and videos you had showed you that some of it is a little bit of challenge for certain cameras, but really I hope you took advantage of looking at the material specifically about close-ups with iPhones, because you can get down there pretty close, and I know some of you that submitted for this exercise used your iPhones and did pretty well with it. So the key to close-up photography is really get close. So the second part was still life photos, and still lifes are basically setups that you create. I should have probably given you some material about food photography, because that's kind of a big area for still lifes. But anyway, I think you did pretty well with this, and I had you create a couple of different set environments, and to do some different angles and some lighting using a window light and then also a supplemental light. So you were going to do a total of 13 for this exercise. So here's close-ups, and I asked you to do some natural and some that were not natural. This is Rebecca's, very lovely, classic flower photograph with the flower images in focus and then the background blurred out, and you know that's the bokeh or bokeh effect. Very nice. This is Danielle, and I think insects on flowers are really, really cool, and this is a great job. I think she probably could have flipped this over and had the insect's head down. I don't know if that would have been better or if it would make any difference at all, but this is really a good job of getting in close. Emma, this is really nice. Part of it is because the lighting is really pretty appropriate. So she's got the dandelion with all its really fine seed material there in focus, and the background is out of focus. This is Trevor's, some kind of a succulent. Could have been a little closer, but it's really a well-composed image and interesting. And this is another of Trevor's. I inadvertently chopped off a little bit of this one. It's more vertical than it looks, but it's a very nice photo. This by Emma is, I think, one of the most interesting photos that was turned in during the entire class. And part of it is the lighting on it's really nice, and there is kind of interest created by the shapes and sort of the diagonal element of it. Very, very well done. Obviously pretty close in. I think it's a pine cone. This is Rebecca, and this is one of the close-up images that was not in a natural environment, and it's perfectly appropriate, good lighting, and excellent. Emma turned this one in, and frankly I'm not sure what it is, but it doesn't necessarily matter because it really makes a pretty interesting photograph. Again, one of the things that makes it interesting are the line elements. So you've got both this front element and this element and then this back all going in this direction. That's interesting. And then you've got some stuff, including these, I think these are probably like rebar metal sort of things that are kind of going the other way. Nice contrast with that really, really dark black, and really, I really like that photo a lot. This is from Danielle, and to be very honest, it's not truly a close-up, but I did want to show it's a really good photo, and it's interesting mainly because of its simplicity and because of its balance. So you've got kind of a rule of thirds thing going with the big star. This is when I lived in Texas, this was the Texas star with the 5 points like that. And then you've got the Ford sign up here. So this has really good elements of balance to it. Not exactly a real close-up, but I thought I'd include it. All right, now we get into the still lifes, and these are constructed things. These are things you make up. And I asked you to do a couple of different setups, and I asked you to do some different lighting and some different angles. So in this case, it's a high angle. So the camera is looking down at the subjects, and this is just extremely simple, but it's very nice. Now there is a little line back here, and if there was a piece of cloth that these were sitting on, that could have eliminated the line. It could also be edited with something like Photoshop or Pixlr using the healing brush. You could just drag that right along there and get rid of the line. But it's not hugely distracting. This is a nice photo. This is from Emma, and this is on the floor, and it is a little more distracting, but it doesn't diminish it too much. And again, a healing brush, healing tool treatment on these areas back here could have eliminated that. I didn't ask you to do any editing, so I'm just pointing that out. This is Trevor, kind of a clever setup. I'm not sure what any of it means, but it doesn't really matter. Notice that he put like a towel on the chair. Might have been interesting if this area over here had maybe the towel pulled up over on this side so you wouldn't see anything over there, but that's just being speculative and picky, I guess. This is Rebecca's. Very simple, and this really shows the benefit of the light, because this little bit of shadow here really makes it more interesting. And this is another of the still life with just the window light, which I thought worked quite nicely with this. And very simple, just a couple of snow globes and on a towel. Now you see how using the towel you do get some contours and undulations and all that, but that is okay. If you wanted to make a real limbo white setting, you take a large piece of like poster board, just bend it in a curve and place your items on the bottom part of it. You probably need to have something to hold it up. It's a little more intricate, but that'll eliminate any lines. So this one just has the window light, and this one has a supplemental light. Now she kind of shifted from vertical to horizontal here, but that's okay. But you can see in the area in front of the jars, there's a shadow because the only source of light is coming from this direction. Whereas in this, it's eliminated that shadow that was in the front completely, and does have some shadowing here in the background. But this is what you do, is you kind of get a setup, and then you actually take some photos, move the light, take some more photos, just experiment with it. And then again, the other thing is the angle. So when you're down at eye level, looking straight at it, if you were really down there, you wouldn't have this tilt effect. Notice over here, this jar is pretty much looking perpendicular, but this one's skewed. If Danielle had gotten down using a tripod, or maybe just getting on knees and looking straight at it, it might have eliminated that tilt effect. That's what happens when you're not perfectly perpendicular to your subject. Okay, so we're getting awful close to the end of this class, and I'm sure you're happy to be to the end of all of your classes, but there's some work left in this one. And the first thing is, if you haven't turned in some assignments, you can still do that, because I do take late work. I knock off some points, but it's better than no work. Then you're going to create your portfolio, and then we do have a final exam scheduled for May 3rd and 4th. However, I will notify the top students that they will be exempt, because they have really shown through their work that they have mastered the basics of the class. So, you know, it's a photography class, and the photos should speak for themselves. But I do have a final exam if somebody needs to get some more points to get up there. That's one way to do it. On the other hand, if they do poorly on the exam, they're not going to get anything really out of it. So let's just look at the dates. Assignment 11 is due on April 29th. The final portfolio is due on May the 2nd. And it's really a matter of just selecting your best photos. You don't have to go out and shoot anything else. The final exam, if you need to take it, is May 3rd and 4th. The last day to drop with a W is today, April 25th. No work will be accepted that should be April 30th, not the 39th, because there is no such thing, but April 30th. And please, please let me know if you have any questions or issues. Thanks.